We're ready for history, our last lesson of the day being Tuesday, March 31st. We're going to continue our study of Booker T. Washington today, pages 313 to 316. I'm going to review a little bit first, and then you'll have those pages to read. And then we're also going to discuss today the western region of the United States. We're going to introduce those states and learn a little interesting fact about each one of those states. So if you would, please turn to page 312 in your history books, just kind of review for just a few minutes. We started studying Booker T. Washington yesterday, and we discussed some of his early childhood beginnings. On page 310, we learned that Sunday was the best day of the week because he got a treat, right? Booker T. Washington grew up poor. He lived in a one-room cabin with his mother, his little sister, his brother, and his stepfather. So this was, Booker T. Washington, they did not have, all the candy and food and things that they wanted. They had very humble upbringings, started off. The New Beginning, page 312, we learned that the Civil War, when it was at the end, that Lincoln and his armies were successful and that there was no more slavery in America. But now, what would the free slaves do? Booker T. Washington and his family, his parents were there and they were in slavery, but now they were free. But they didn't own anything. So what would they do? Where would they go? They didn't have, anything to call their own. They had no homes or animals, and they had nowhere. Where would they get a job? So it was kind of a two-edged sword there. It was great. Absolutely wonderful for the freedom. But then kind of now, what do we do? Where do we start? So Booker's mother had heard from her husband that he had found a place to live, if you look at page 312, in Malden, or Malden, however you want to pronounce that, West Virginia. So that was a place that he was at and wanted his family to come to. So loading the few things they had on the back, it says, of a small donkey, they began the 300-mile trip there. After many days of traveling over mountains and wading through rivers, they finally arrived in Malden, West Virginia. Important places, page 312, the town where Booker's family lived after the Civil War. Hampton Institute, this is the school in Virginia which Booker attended. Tuskegee, Alabama, the town which asked for a man to begin a school for black students. And the Tuskegee Institute, or University, is the school founded by Booker T. Washington. So we know that education is important. Booker T. Washington yearned to be able to have an education and to read, and you're going to find that out going through the reading here. So now on page 313, you learned that he was early to go to work. His stepfather worked in a salt mine, and I don't mean early he was young, but it was also early in the morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when they had to go to work. Not that they got up and got ready they were at work, ready to go at 4 o'clock. Dressed, breakfast eaten, they were ready to work. Washington Ferguson's number, they had barrels, it was 18. So as they would dig for the salt in the mines, they would fill the barrels up, and he would be paid for each barrel that he was able to fill. And Booker looked at that number, and he would close his eyes, and he repeated the number 18. And this is the first education that he had. He recognized the numbers on the sides of the barrels. Page 314. Okay, we're just going to kind of hit these sections, but this is going to be your reading. To go back, I have 13, but page 314 to page 316, a wish for a book. You're going to read there that he wanted a book to read. You're going to learn in that section what the first book was that Booker T. Washington was able to have. Once you get a book, what do you want to do with the book? That's right, you want to read it. So then you're going to find out in a wish to read, you're going to find out the name of Booker T. Washington's first teacher, the first school. You're going to have that there. A wish for a last name. You're going to look on page 315, and it was his first day at school. And the teacher's calling the roll, and you're going to find out something special about Booker T. Washington there, that first day that he discovers. And then you're going to read page 315. You're going to read about the Hampton Institute there as Booker T. Washington grows, and he has a chance there to be involved with the Hampton Institute. So you'll learn about that there. Page 316 will be at the top, the last little section there that you'll read. Okay? So I kind of want you to make sure you're going through. I know I just hit the high points, but I want you to go through and be sure that you're reading the information there about Booker T. Washington. On Wednesday, tomorrow, we will go over the comprehension checks there. When you're finished reading these sections, you should know what was the first book Booker ever held in his hands. You'll see. What was the name of Booker's first teacher? And Booker T. Washington traveled 500 miles to attend what school? You'll see all of that in your reading. Okay? So we're going to pause with that for just a minute, and we're going to look. I have a map here at the regions of the United States. In our history lessons, we have talked about, excuse me one second, let me fix one thing here. I don't know if this is going to make a difference or not, but let me just fix that. Okay, so in our class, we have discussed and studied together. We have discussed the northeastern region, the southeastern region where we live right here in North Carolina, the Midwestern region, the Southwestern region, and now we're going to study the Western region, the last section that you kind of break the United States down into. Okay? So we're going to be in this purple section up here now. And I have the map, and of course this map is in the back of your book if you need to reference that. Okay? Let you see that for a second, and then I'm going to put it on the board, okay? So we're going to study the Western region today. You can see that kind of little puzzle there matches. You have your little pieces. They're the same states. It goes through Colorado, through California, Wyoming, Montana, up that way. Okay? I do want to tell you I enjoy finding out something a little special, what each state is known for. So I wanted to take a few minutes and to go over that quickly with you today. And we'll go back and review those. Kind of helps us remember about the state and where to associate it with. Okay? Now, the western region of the United States is made up of 11 states. Okay? I want to go through each one and tell you something a little bit special about it. I might need to pull this a little bit further, closer to you there. Okay? So let's look at, if you want to make sure you have that, Washington, okay? Washington right here. Washington is known for producing the most apples. Washington, the state of Washington right here. Don't confuse this with Washington, D.C., which is over close to where we live. This is Washington State, apples. Oregon, right under it, they became a state on Valentine's Day in 1859, Oregon. California, I think everybody can recognize the shape there of California. California is known for Death Valley, which is the hottest place in the United States. During the summer, the temperature can reach over 115 degrees. That's a hot area right there. Idaho, potatoes. I like potatoes. Idaho grows more potatoes than any other state. Nevada is the largest gold producing state in the United States. So it's hot and then gold. Potatoes. Potatoes are gold, okay? Montana, popping back up here, Montana's Miles City is the cowboy capital. Going down to Wyoming. Wyoming is the home to Yellowstone National Park, and it was the first national park in the United States. Wyoming, the Yellowstone. Maybe the Y there, you can remember Yellowstone for Wyoming. Utah. Utah's mountains near Salt Lake City can get an average of over 500 inches of snow per year. Cam, I know you want to go there and play in all that snow, don't you? 500 inches of snow per year. Colorado, right next door, holds one of the largest rodeos each year in Denver. Okay, so that western theme. Alaska is up here. It's cold, so it's up around Canada. It's kind of up here. But Alaska, I know sometimes we see Alaska and Hawaii down here together on maps. No, Alaska is up where it's cold, okay? So Alaska is big enough to fit the state of Rhode Island in it 425 times. Alaska's a big, big territory, big state up there. And then Hawaii, right here, aloha. Oh, Hawaii has its own time zone. So Hawaii is just special, right? You think of the beautiful beaches there. It's off the coast of California. It's warm. It's beautiful. But it has its own time zone. It's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, right? Alaska is connected here, but Hawaii is just kind of floating out here by itself. So again, Washington, apples. Oregon became a state on Valentine's Day. California, hot, Death Valley. Idaho, potatoes. Nevada, gold. Montana, cowboy capital. Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park. Utah, the mountains, snow. Colorado, the largest rodeo. Alaska, just the size of it. And then Hawaii, its own time zone. Okay? So that's the western region, and we'll be going over those more and more as we go. But that's kind of our last region. Now, we'll need to be able to be familiar with those because as we kind of wind history down, these will be on some quizzes and tests as we go through. Okay? So if you want to rewind the video and take a few notes about the what each state is known for, please feel free to do that at this time. But just remember for your history lesson today to go back and to finish reading up Booker T. Washington and then just jot your answers down to your comprehension check. Shouldn't be very hard at all. Okay? So that's the end of our day. I hope you've had a great day today. As you sleep tonight, we'll have a new month coming in of April. I'm ready to kind of put March behind us and move on to spring and something beautiful. Creation, all the flowers, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So guys, finish strong today. Just keep going, okay? It's better to do a little bit at the time and keep up than not to and have a lot to catch up with. It's just like being out sick, okay? You have a lot of work when you come back. So let's keep together as we go through. We always say two things. Work till Jesus comes, and he's not here yet, so we're going to keep working. Second thing is work smarter, not harder. That's right. So just keep up with your assignments, okay? So I hope you have a good night, finish everything up, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, which will be April 1st. Have a good night.